What is going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. Welcome to the show. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it. Latest smackdown, like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and the message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you can call in at 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we can talk about whatever is on your mind, heart, spirit, in your soul. Whatever's there, we can get into it. If for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV and buy me a donut with a message. And if for whatever reason you prefer to do that on YouTube instead of Punchy.tv, instead of Buy Me a Coffee, you can go to YouTube, hit the super chat button on the YouTube live chat area. Hit the super chat button there, send your question or comments in, and I'll read them live on air. Aight. What's today? Grace and Mercy Monday. You know what that means? We getting into that word. Also, guys, just a quick reminder. If for whatever reason you're looking for a specific show, maybe something that I talked about a past show, or you like a specific show throughout my week more than others, right? Let's just say you like True Crime Storytime Tuesdays more than you like relationships. Well, I have a playlist on my channel where each show is categorized. So Grace and Mercy Mondays, it's called Faith and Spirituality, so you can easily recognize it. And I have a playlist for relationships. I have a playlist for True Crime Tuesdays, Relationship Wednesdays, Character Breakdown Thursdays. The playlists are all separated there on my YouTube channel. So if you like certain days, themed days more than others, you could check out the full playlist and have a binge party. You know what I'm saying? So you can do that. Amazing stuff. Let's get into it. Let's get right into it. I had told you guys how to take I can't talk today. How to take thoughts captive. I'm pumped about the message today. So my mind is working faster than my mouth. I think that's what's happening, y'all. How to take thoughts captive. Today, I'm going to bring you guys what I believe to be true, but I'm going to stamp it with the facts, okay? Just so you guys know I'm not making it up, and I can almost like back it up with some facts, okay? That's what we're doing it today. And what I mean by facts, I'm talking about what I believe to be true backed up with the Bible. And what I believe to be true backed up with other people who share these testimonies about their lives. And it's just too insane, the things that they say, that there's no way I could be making it up. So we're going to bring some facts with it. How to take thoughts captive. Obviously, we've heard Jesse Lee Pearson say many times, doubt all thoughts. Doubt your thoughts. They're lies. All thoughts are lies. You should doubt your thoughts. Right? We heard JLP say it. For those who haven't heard it, doubt all your thoughts, right? But where Jesse got that message from is from in the Bible where it says, take all thoughts captive, right? And I want to speak on that and how we can do that and how to make that easy. Because I realized over the weekend, I was like, oh, wow. I understood more what the Bible meant by taking thoughts captive, right? Because it goes on to say, to the obedience of Christ. I never understood what that meant. I'm like, take thoughts captive to the obedience of Christ. What does that even mean, right? But it dawned on me over the weekend what that actually means and how we can do it and better recognize how to doubt these thoughts, right? Because everybody battling with these thoughts. Everybody's struggling with the thoughts. Okay? So we're going to get into that. Let's start off with the exact scripture, and then we'll unpack it. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Well, let's break that down, right? First, what does it mean, for those who don't know, to take every thought captive? Huh? What does it mean to take every thought captive? Well, in my belief, I think that means just being aware of the thoughts, right? We all get thoughts in the mind, and those thoughts in the mind tempt us to get the feelings. And when we get the feelings, we believe it to be true, right? But we take the thought captive by just being aware of the thought, right? The lies that are coming in the head, even if we don't even know they're lies, right? Because sometimes they're so convincing. And they may not always be, completely wrong, right? But anyway, you take the thought captive by just being aware of the thought, right? Being aware of it. And to the obedience of Christ, how do you do that? What that even mean, right? Is now that you're aware of the thought, you use the truth, you use what you've learned, what has been revealed to you, the wisdom that you've picked up against the thought, right? Against the temptation, right? You use it against it, so it no longer has power over you, right? You're releasing the power of the thought when you use the truth against it, right? Because the enemy is constantly trying to deceive us in the mind and give us a feeling about it. And once the feeling comes, we're hooked and we're cooked. We're hooked and we're cooked. You know what I mean? So we take the thought captive by being aware of it, and we bring it to obedience of Christ, meaning use the truth against the thought, right? Use what you already know against the thought, and then it releases the power from you, and then the thought will pass, and then the little feeling will pass if it's there, right? And it didn't make you act out. You didn't sin, right? And the more you practice that, the easier it gets, right? The more it makes sense. But I want to give you guys an example of how I do it. I try to do it every day to day. It ain't always, the devil's busy, right? But let me tell you, I'm going to give you guys some examples, and I'm going to show you guys how Jesus did it. Because Jesus was doing it all the time. And I never even knew that. But we're going to get into that too. Say, for example, you get somebody cusses you out, right? Somebody calls you a name, right? And you get offended by it, right? You feel a pain and you just feel that offense, right? And you want to get back at them, or you want to show them up, cuss them back out, right? That's one we can all relate to. Lord have mercy. You want to just defend yourself, right? What I realize is that when you realize that obviously people are blind and can't see, right? People are just blind and can't see. And when you truly realize that, you truly understand that, then you know that they're just a broke, hurt, lost, scared person who is acting out their issues on you, right? They're just using you as a punching bag. That's what we do. That's what human beings do. We need some type of thrill, so we act out, right? But when we truly understand that is when your desire to retaliate is less and less. Your desire to want to defend yourself is less and less because you understand the situation. So when you're tempted to be offended, then you use the truth back against the thought that tells you to be offended. The truth is, this person who's trying to offend you is blind and can't see, right? They just scared, hurt, just like you lost, hurt, confused, running, on the run, right? Trying to feel better, looking for love in the same way, right? And then now the thought can convince you to go retaliate, to go fight fire with fire, to go seek revenge because you realize that you're no different. So that's another way. And Jesus did this too. Luke 23:34. Jesus said, while Jesus was on the, was hanging up, right? He was like this. You know, he was already beat up, bruised up. They already done beat him up, cussed him out, spit on him, you know what I mean? Embarrassed him, the whole thing. And he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing, right? And it wasn't no intellectual stuff like, oh, okay, I know that they can't help it. No, he truly understood that they couldn't help themselves. He truly understood that they're blind and couldn't see, right? And they don't truly know the depths of what their blindness is doing, right? So even Jesus, in the midst of all that, still said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they're doing, right? He had to use the truth against the lie. Jesus also did it in the wilderness. This is a good one. This is a good example. This is a good one. He says, Matthew 4:3-4. Remember when Jesus was in the little wilderness and he had to be tempted for 40 days and 40 nights? And they said that the Satan was in the wilderness with him. And what they really meant is like in the mind, right? Satan was there trying to tempt him, trying to get him to fall away, to doubt God. Matthew 4:3 says, the tempter came to him and said, if you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. If you're the Son of God, turn these little stones into bread, right? Remember that? And Jesus responded to the lie, the thought, with the truth, what he knew to be true. He said, man shall not live by bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. Remember that? Right? So he took the thought captive, right? Turned this little stone into bread, and he used the truth back against it, right? And that truth is what released him from believing the thought, right? Or was his defense. It came to his defense, the truth, right? And that's what it means to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ, right? Make the thought be obedient to the truth. That's what it is. And when you do that, is eventually, like I said, it gets easier and easier and easier. And then it becomes natural. So the thought doesn't take root and have the feeling. And guess what? Eventually, all the conflict is gone. That's why I thought it was so interesting, because I noticed that all of our little pain comes from the mind first, right? All little conflict, all our issues come from a thought first, right? We believe a thought, right? And the thoughts are all rooted in what is right or wrong. They're all based in what is right or wrong. If it's wrong, you feel bad. If it's right, you feel good. It's all based off of a judgment. All in your mind. It's all in there. And then you get the feeling, and guess what? You get the feeling, and now you get the pain. And the pain needs some relief. So what do? We go get the alcohol, we go get the weed, we go get the sex, we go get the this and this and this and that, right? Just to make us feel better. When all we need, all the peace and joy and all the things that we need to feel fulfilled and complete and at peace is already within. It's just clouded by all these feelings and thoughts and emotions and conflict that all started in with a thought. You know what I mean? So that's when you hear doubt every thought from Jesse Lee Peterson, or you hear people say take thought captive. is that that's so important because the enemy is always in the mind trying to get you, trying to trick you, trying to deceive you, and get you to fall away or get you to reach outwardly for all kinds of things instead of, overcoming. So I thought that was deep. Self-medicating. Yep, that's exactly what it is, self-medicating. And we all do it in some form or way or another, and we shouldn't judge ourselves for it as well because there's the enemy at work, right? So we all do it in some form or another, or we all have done it, So I thought that was interesting. But with that being said, I have a little story that I wanted to share with you guys because I said this last week. I know you guys were like, Lord, Joel, you just lying. And I have a little story to back it up, right? So, and then I'll take your calls, 888-775-3773. There are lines that are open there. Guys, get in there if you need to. If you want to. Make sure you guys get up in there. But last week I told you guys that that God will give you a glimpse of the Holy Spirit, right? Of what heaven looks like. And I explained to you guys the glimpses that I've gotten of what heaven looks like, what heaven feels like, what the Holy Spirit feels like, and what it feels like to walk in the Holy Spirit. That God has given me glimpses over the years of what that looks like, right? And because he gave me those glimpses is what, drives me more and more to want to reach this place, right? Because I've always heard, I've always seen in the Bible where it says like, you can have paradise on earth. And I've always thought that was cool. That was pretty cool. And somewhere deep down, I always knew that was true. Like you could have paradise on earth, right? Perfect peace, no conflict, and eternal life, right? Heaven on earth. I always knew that was true, but I didn't know what that looked like. But over the years, he has given me a glimpse. But last week, I told you guys that what you experience in the midst of that Holy Spirit, right? When you're feeling it, right? When you're in the moment, what does that look like? And I told you guys that it's all knowing, right? There's nothing that you don't know. Everything makes sense. You just get it. You just know it, right? And I also said you're in control of everything, right? And that there's a light that's within you, and it's the energy. It's the source of energy, true energy, to where you can run 50 miles or you can take a nap. It's the same source of energy, right? And it's natural. There's no high and none of that stuff, right? I was explaining this to you. Well, a lady says that she died. Well, she didn't say she died. She actually died. But she says that when she died, she went to heaven, right? And they brought her back to life. And then she explains her story about what she experienced. And I want to share that a little bit with you guys, so you guys can hear some of the similar things that are talked about, whether here on the network with amongst the shows, or just out and about in the world, but how it connects, right? When it comes to truth, the truth is the truth. No matter who's telling it, the truth is the truth. And I thought it was very interesting what she had to say. So her name was Amber Kavanaugh. Okay. Amber Kavanaugh, according to reports, this is from Daily Mail, they said that she lived like a healthy life, right? She was pretty healthy. What that actually means, who knows? But she said that she was pretty healthy. And one night she was with her family watching a movie, and out of nowhere she gets just bad, crazy migraine, right? Just crazy, right? So bad that she had to stop watching the movie and go take a nap, right? Well, she wakes up from the nap and she stands up and she falls out, right? half her body is paralyzed, and she goes blind in one eye. She don't know what's going on, but she can't even speak at this point, right? Either, right? So she can't even call out to her husband, and for her help. So she's banging. She has to bang on the wall, right? She bangs on the wall. Husband sees her, call the cops. They get her, pick her up, and they go to the hospital, right? At this point, her body is paralyzed completely. She can't speak, but she can hear, right? But to her outward appearance to the rest of the world, she looks like a vegetable, right? Because she loses consciousness or she's not fully unconscious, but she's what do you call it? Semi-conscious, semi-unconscious, right? But she's nonverbal. So she gets to the hospital and she's laying there, and then she has a second stroke, right? She has a second stroke, and now she's bleeding like internally really bad. The doctor's saying it's not looking good, and she's not fully unconscious. She can still hear, but she can't talk. So she's laying on the bed, right, going through all these different things, and the family's all there, like, they're all like, crying and upset. They don't know what's going on. She was just fine yesterday. She's a healthy lady, and now all of a sudden she's in the hospital having 2 strokes. So the nurse tells the children, the nurse is like, say bye to your mom because it's not looking good for her. Say bye. Make sure you have these last little moments because it's not looking good for her. The lady, Amber, is there on the bed hearing all this, and she was saying that in the reports that she was terrified hearing that because they're telling her that she's about to die, and she's it's just trying to talk to her family to get an understanding of what's going on, what's happening to her, but they think that she's a vegetable, she's unconscious, right? And she said that was the most terrifying experience of her life because she can hear her kids telling her bye, and they're crying and telling her she could let go, blah, 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 right? Long story short, or long story long, is now they airlift her from the hospital to another place. But on the helicopter, she's dying, right? She's dying. And it says that she looked at the sun one last time, according to her, right? And then she closed her eyes. And when she closed her eyes, she was gone. But immediately, according to Amber, when she closed her eyes and she woke back up, she was in another dimension. What the? She was in another dimension, and when she said she looked up, she seen herself looking down at her body that was laying there in the helicopter. And her husband was crouched over her crying. I won't comment on that, because I wasn't there. But her husband was laying over her crying, and his wife died. Come on. You're going to cry. His husband was there crying, but at the same time, she can also see her grandparents with the kids in the car driving, right? So she see her husband, but she can also sense or see out in the world, right? So she had this weird sense, right? But so she sees that, and then after she gets to this place she calls the meeting point, right? What's the meeting point? The meeting point is this place where she said it wasn't her walking to the light. It wasn't her being called by God to go to heaven. It was just a place where she was met by these guiding angels, right? And these angels they were guiding her to like this place right before you enter into heaven, according to her. And she gets there, and she said she had no fear, and it was only love. She only felt love. There was no fear at all, only love. And everybody that was at this place was all the people she ever loved before they passed or after they passed, right? So everyone she ever loved that passed away was right there greeting her. Even her childhood dogs. What the? The dogs too? I didn't know dogs go to heaven. But she said even the dogs were right there childhood dogs right there. And she said she felt absolute comfort, right? And they gave her this ultimatum. And you know, God gave her the ultimatum. Do you want to stay? You want to go back? And she described what, she said she looked like the best version of herself, and everyone she ever loved was there around her. And this is where she describes what she felt, what it was like to be in heaven, right? And why I wanted to bring this to your guys' attention. Because she said, there was no who, what, why, when, or where to answer anymore. I just knew everything. Listen. You guys thought I was making this stuff up. I ain't making this stuff up. She said, I knew everything. There was no who, why, past, future, nothing. You just know everything. And I totally understood when I read that, I was like, I got to talk about this on Monday, on Grace and Mercy Monday. Because I just had explained what that's like. You know, the glimpses that I experienced of what that's supposed to look like. And all the stories that I've heard sound like that, right? Everything is peaceful. There's a time doesn't exist. You're all knowing. You have control of everything, right? Everything makes sense. Everything is clear. Could you imagine that, living life like that? That was so incredible when I heard that. Because it was so true. It made sense to me. And it confirmed what I already knew that I knew, right? It like further confirmed what I already knew that I knew. So I say that to say is that there is a life, a whole different life on this earth, that we can live that is totally in opposition to the way that we've been taught. Right? All this hate and all this conflict that we have within, all that stuff is the illusion. It's the illusion to deceive us. There's an entirely different life. All this ambition, all this chasing things, all this like passion, all these things are distractions. They're detours from us returning to God fully and having paradise on earth, perfect peace. We think that we want all these different things. We think that we want a bigger house or a little bit more money or we want a family and all these things aren't bad things, right? They're not wrong things to have. But our desire, our want for them is where it gets tricky, because then we start striving after. Then we start having expectations. And then when we don't reach those expectations, we feel bad. We feel, when is it going to happen? And we're waiting on these stuff instead of like just being okay with where we are. It's a whole different lifestyle. And in this place of heaven on earth, there's not even no desire to even want anything, right? Because you're okay with where you are. And I've always kind of seen that, maybe you guys can relate as well. I've always kind of known that growing up, that had to exist. And because of that is why is what made me really like want to take my my commitment to overcoming a lot more serious, because I was getting these glimpses and it was so clear. And I'm like, man, what would life be like living like this all the time? You know what I mean? All the time. And when you see that, it becomes the driver for everything that you do. It's why you tend to want to try to do the right thing, right? It's why you try to figure out how to overcome. It's why your lifestyle starts to change, because you see like what life could really be like. And it's like totally a whole different thing. And I was like, wow, that's deep. And when I hear other people talk about it, it just confirms what is to come for those who are seeking the truth and want it, right? So I thought that was very deep. And hell as well is testimonials of people who went to hell. That's very deep. That's deep as well. Because I can relate to a lot of things they explain as well, right? Because you remember, in hell, there's no time either. In hell, you're all knowing as well, meaning that like on earth, when we have emotions, we feel them deeply. So if somebody says something to us, we feel them deep. We feel it, right? Because the ego, we believe the thought, and now we feel like we're hurt, right? We feel that. Well, in hell, according to what I believe and the testimonies that I've heard, is that you feel everything, because it's all about feelings. Everything's about feelings. It's hell, right? It's all ego all the time, 24/7 in hell, right? So you feel everything, everybody's words, everybody's actions against everything, because it's a vibration, right? It's a vibration. So it's in the air and amongst us. So in hell, there's nothing that separates us from feeling that, right? Feeling that hell, feeling those feelings, the feeling that pain, right? There's nothing that's in the way, right? So they say that you feel everything, except that it's times 100, but also you're so tortured over there that because you're in hell and you're a spirit, right? And your body doesn't die, you can't die anymore. Your body regenerates, right? So you feel the pain like you're dying. You feel like you're dying. Well, I don't want to get too graphic, but you feel like you're dying. But then once the I'm trying to say it without being too descriptive, but your body regenerates, right? So you feel that pain, your arm gets cut off. You feel that pain, but it grows back, right? So there's people that are getting like destroyed and beat up and all this stuff. I've heard from these testimonies, and it makes so much sense to me, because we experience that same exact thing, but just to a smaller degree on earth. So if that's the case in hell, that we can feel this crazy amount of pain, why can't in heaven that we feel peace on earth, why can't in heaven it be 100 times more peace? All right? And why can't we have that directly on earth? So I thought that was deep. Joel takes calls. Yeah, I take calls if they come in, but there's no one on the line right now. You can call in 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773. Y'all, I'm giving you guys some work. Talk about take some calls. I'm giving you guys some work. Are you listening? Is you listening? Talk about some calls. It's Monologue Monday. Joel took a call once. What a mess. Let me check super chats though. Let me see. Let's check. I'm checking the super chats here, y'all. Ryan Moon, shout out Ryan. Ryan says, all thoughts are lies all the time about everything. I'm telling y'all, the thoughts are a whole nother thing. Every single thing, every single issue that we have comes down to a thought. It's all Judgment, everything stems from judgment, right? Believing a thought, believing in right and wrong. I ain't making this stuff up. And because it all starts here in the mind, if there's no opinion here, if there's no thought here, right? If there's no judgment here in the mind, then there's no issues, right? That's why we take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. And for our own protection. Kel says, with a super chat, one day I will call in about me seeing heaven and hell. I can't today because I'm at work. Right on, Kel. That'll be fun. Whenever you can, man. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah. Those heaven and hell stories are so true. When people be like, come on. Are you serious, Joel? That's not real. Listen, I'm just going based off of what I believe to be true, right? Think and know for yourself. But don't be a closed off person, right? Because closed off people don't see God. Just be open. It may not be true, but be open to the possibility, right? That maybe that could be true. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Stay open at least for your own benefit. Let me check here. I think we're good with super chats there. Let me go to Serge out of Texas. Serge, we got someone online here. Welcome to the show. You're on the air. Long time no talk, Serge. How's it going, man?
All is well, man. I just wanted to come in here and fellowship with you.
Right on.
Well, what would be your if someone asked you, how do you become stronger in the faith? What would be your advice?
The more and more you learn to let go, the more and more you learn to surrender, and the more you realize that the less you give into the thoughts is where your faith goes stronger, because at that point you're relying on God. You're only relying on God to get you through, or just trusting that He's with you. That's the only way for it to get stronger, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I would respond with awareness.
Yeah.
I've never said this before. I just think that like understanding like awareness and being aware and like staying in that, and like, and even in as you were talking, I had a thought and I was like, what? Erase that thought. Just listen to what he's saying.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because even though I know if I'm not aware, I'll be of myself.
If you're not aware, be
of myself, which is typically when you have an identity in self, you're in darkness when you're not in the light, because you're already preset it, and in with God there's no preset. You just be. You don't even have the thought of preset.
Yeah, well, just to add to that a little bit more too, is that it's not even that it's itself. It's with the lie. It's just we identify with the lie when we lean on our I guess own understanding. And yes, I don't think that it's bad to think. I don't think that it's bad to reflect and use the brain as like a tool to make sense of certain things. But we're not to operate there. And having faith, though, is the absence of thought, right? Of trying to wonder what might happen, or wonder about the future or past, or whatever the case may be. That is the absence of faith. Is to actually have faith is to let all that go and just trust that you're being taken care of. And that's not easy to do, because we're taught to cover all our bases in everything, in every area of life. So it's been a setup.
Yeah. But trusting, it's like what most people will ask, what do you trust? And then it's hard for people to trust now because of their relationship with their parents. So
Yeah.
they really, everybody's asking that question, like how everybody wants to know how to become stronger. So that's kind of why I asked, because
Yeah.
I talk with a lot of people, and basically I've noticed that without them really saying it,
Hmm.
anybody who ever got counsel from Jesse, they really want to know how to become stronger. People want to
Yeah.
know the light. They are
Yeah.
seeking.
Yeah. But that's the
That's
thing.
why I asked that question.
No, that's you make it with awareness. That's true. But even in awareness, we gotta like give up our efforts and stop trying so hard. And I've done that my whole life, and that's why I speak on it because my whole life has been like this effort to try to like get there, like I was explaining. But I realize that the what makes the most sense and the less problems I have and the more free I am is when I just let go of the stress and just trust the process. Trust wherever you end up and know that God is with you and then you don't have to stress about this stuff.
May I share this one last thing?
Yeah.
I because I've noticed this. Is it possible when you're in when you go into the darkness, let's say you're going out with some friends for drinks, is it possible that you open yourself up to like spirits, even though it's in you, but it does seem like when I step out with people that I know I probably shouldn't be with,
Yeah.
and it does seem like when I come back into my peace, into my home, devil talking to me a lot more. I know it's still in me, but I noticed that now I'm thinking stuff that I normally wouldn't think when I would just
Yeah.
stay home and go to work.
Yeah. Well,
Can you bring yourself up to when you're not in the moment? Because sometimes you hang out with people and you don't really need to be hanging out with them.
yeah.
And then that's when that spirit creeps in. Is that possible?
No, that's very possible. And then you just start to believe the thoughts, right? The thoughts that the spirit's telling you. That's very that because the temptation, you know, we're also putting ourselves amongst temptation as well. So if someone is
Hmm.
tempting you and you're not strong in a certain area, right, or you're not knowledgeable, or you don't have the understanding about a certain situation, the devil's gonna tempt you with that, right? It's your weak points. So, yeah, you're gonna go home and he's gonna be constantly at you with that because you were that was able to creep in from whatever the situation was.
That's that's good. Well put. Well put. I was really
Yeah,
asking for some feedback
yeah,
from somebody on this one. And only want to say this last comment is it's good to be able to fellowship. Don't think I've gone anywhere, brother.
yeah.
I'm always at that gym, but when I come in, I'm quick to turn on that IG live and listen in, man.
Right
Continue
on,
pushing, keep doing the work, man.
right on, man. Well, I appreciate it, man, and it's always good to hear from you, Serge. Call me again.
I will.
All
All right.
right. Let me go to Rick out of Hampton, Virginia. Rick, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Man, my brother Joel, man, I love your topics, man. I love all y'all topics, man.
Appreciate it.
It's the Holy Spirit or emotional feeling? No. It's really being led by the love of God. That's what I
Yeah,
believe. You know what I mean? What I mean by that, you ministered to me the other week about, when you have God so strong within you, it's not a strain to do stuff.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I really believe that the stronger your relationship is with God, it's part of you. It becomes part of you instead of like running off feelings and emotions. 'Cause when you get somebody running off emotions and feelings, you don't know what the heck you're gonna get
yeah,
from them kind of people.
yeah,
Most of them traumatized, haven't treated their trauma up and down, hollering and screaming. So you don't know what you're gonna get when people are running on their emotions. But when
yeah,
somebody's solidly into God and love God, that's who they are. They
yeah.
are led by God's love and commands. And no, it's not at all no emotional. In my opinion, it's not emotional at all.
Yeah. No, 100%, Rick. And you know what I realized too is that like when it's the proper way, you have less desire to try to show it off too. You know what I mean? Because when you're in the
Yeah,
emotions, and into the passions, and you have something
right,
you think is good, you want to show it off to everybody, or you want everybody to see it. You want it to be this
right,
like spectacle. But when you really have it and you really have the light, you're not even have no desire to want to, you don't even really want attention like that. You don't want people in your business. You don't want
exactly.
people to, because they'll abuse what is special, and you don't even want that. So it's just a different way of living for sure.
I definitely agree with you, man. It's
Yeah.
like, like it even comes to, and I always say this too. If you're married, and it's everybody's favorite question: would you tell your spouse if you cheat? I say,
Yeah.
for the way how people are wicked. They will hold that over your head the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You'll never be forgiven for that. And I say stop doing it and do right and move
Yeah.
on. Keep it moving.
No, I don't disagree with that, Rick. I think that there's a lot of situations where that's true, but I also understand the people who say that they would tell, and I actually know some people who said that they did tell, and they stood by telling. They think that that's the best way, and I understand their point of view too, because sometimes it just may make sense to reveal that, right? Sometimes it may help the situation. And
Yep,
and I
yep.
and I say that too because I try not to put a rule on what I should and shouldn't do in any given situations, and instead let each situation present its own way of going about things. Because you're
That's a
right.
good way of saying it, Joel.
Yeah.
Excellent way of saying it. Like, hey, if it's real, and then well, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot 'cause I know you married, Joel. I was just sharing my
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
and I just seen it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I have had some great friends, man.
Yeah.
They spouse told them they messed up on them, and man, that's all
Yeah.
I think about now. That's all I think about. That's all I think about. I don't trust her. I said,
Yeah.
see, probably
Yeah.
been better off she didn't tell you, though, because you're not gonna never forgive her.
Yeah. And that's the
I
thing.
mean,
And you're not wrong about that either, Rick. I've heard stories like that too. And it's hard because the judgment is there because it's really
yeah, exactly.
everybody's afraid of feeling hurt, being hurt, right? And
Mm-hmm.
losing trust. And but in a perfect world, Rick, though, that's the interesting thing. In a perfect world, we should be able to explain the things that we're struggling with anybody, right? And in
Right,
return, we shouldn't get judgment or ridicule. Everybody should be in a perfect world
right,
understanding that, oh, this person just you need some help in this area, or they just made a mistake or whatever the case is. So that way we can be free of all this stuff and not have to hide things, but we don't live in a perfect world, and people do judge, like you say, and they do hold on to it, and it's hard for them to forgive.
yeah,
But that's all selfishness and
yes,
yeah, it's all fear based and everything.
yeah. You said, hey, Joel, you said a mouthful and you didn't choke, man, and it's just how people are, man. Ego filled, like now me and my wife cheated on me. I at least want to know two things I need to know. Are you over this guy? What did I lack?
Yeah.
What did I do? Not me.
Yeah.
What needs why I wasn't there for you? You know what I mean? If I
Yeah.
wasn't paying you no attention, wasn't listening, I mean, it'd make me better. But
Yeah.
all I need for you to be is, hey, are you through with him? We can move on. If you're gonna be still sneaking around with him, you might as well just go ahead and keep it 100.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way I look at that, brother
Well,
Joel, and
let me ask you, Rick, would you want to know, God forbid, if what your wife cheated on you? I don't even want to say that, or even put that out in the world against you. But God forbid if that were to happen, would you want her to tell you, or would you rather not know?
me, I think I could do good with either. That's why she
Yeah.
didn't tell me, but she
Yeah.
changed. But
Yeah.
see, if she don't tell me, if I'm lacking something and she don't reveal it to me, I'm gonna continue lacking that in that area, and I will never, take care of her needs, if she don't let me know. But I believe I could deal with either.
Yeah.
If she told me, because one thing I know, hey, what did I do to run into another man arm?
Yeah.
I need to solve that.
Yeah.
I would drop my ego, my anger, and see what I done, and if it's something that I'd lacked, I just try and pick up on it.
Yeah. And learn from it. Yeah. And do better. Exactly. Good point, Rick. That's a good point. I appreciate it, Rick. I'm out of time here.
No problem, man. Okay, Joel. Love y'all. I'm gonna get ready for y'all. Punch your TV.
Right on. Right. Thank you, Rick. We appreciate it.
Love you guys. So y'all be blessed, man.
All right, you as well, Rick. Nice. That's such a good. We probably talked about it 100 times about the would you tell thing, but one thing I wanted to say about that really quick is that if you're married or in a relationship, don't do it. Of course, don't do it. It's can cause problems. Don't do it, right? But you got to remember that friend first. You know what I mean? That's what I always say. It's like friend first, not husband or wife first, right? Friend first. And what does that mean? That means that you should have a quick to listen, quick to understand, right? And slow to take offense, slow to take it personal, but understand what the situation, what is going on, right? Be a friend first. Maybe they need you in that situation to help make sense of it. Some people may intentionally just be wild and reckless and doing crazy things, but some people may be struggling, right? And it was a mistake, and they're sorry, or whatever the case is. Or like Rick said, maybe what did you do wrong that could have caused this kind of conflict? But be a friend first to your wife or your husband in all situations. I'm not talking about just cheating. In general, be a friend first to where you can be able to handle whatever they bring to you, because a man is supposed to be the guider. He's supposed to guide you. Imagine if Jesus told you that there are certain things he don't want you to tell him because he don't want to know, right? Don't tell me that I can't handle that one. Don't tell me that one. No, you go to him for all things, right? So God forbid that happens to anybody, but wouldn't you want your wife to be able to go to you in her time of need with certain things, and her to know that you're not going to take it personal, her to know that you're going to love her, right? If she's truly coming at you with it in a genuine way, right? Not to use it against you or some kind of weird agenda stuff, right? But she should be able to trust you. And the man shouldn't be judged by things that come up for the woman either, come up in conversation either. That's all I'm saying. But don't do it. Don't do it. If you don't do it, then you don't have a problem. There's no issue. Anyway, I got an American Anchor Baby's coming in right now. Check him out on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Check him out for his live show coming up right after mine in 5 minutes here. Also, after his show is a brand new episode of Punchy TV featuring myself and my two other co-hosts. And we have a guest on there, Mr. Derek, the producer. Make sure you guys check that out. Very interesting episode. We got into some stuff. The Bible, what is a good man, does right and wrong exist, all kinds of stuff we got into on the episode. So make sure you guys tune in and check that out at 2 p.m. today, 2 p.m. Pacific time. All right, y'all, I got to go. I'll be back here tomorrow. Until next time, I'll see you on the flip. Bye.